There is an organization of Bigfoot field researchers in the USA and Canada, whose acronym is the BFRO. The BFRO goes on field expeditions in search of Bigfoot, which is sometimes referred to as Sasquatch. Its members recently conducted interviews with witnesses in the area of Whitehall, New York, in addition to visiting in person the hotspot locations where evidence of Sasquatch leads them. When some hear the name of New York mentioned, most think of a city, a metropolis, where no trees are to be seen outside of Central Park. However, in the upper state of New York, among the hills of the Adirondacks, there are few houses and few people to be seen. A lonely ribbon of highway pierces the Adirondack forest. There is no street to walk on. The only travelers here are in automobiles, and if one is unlucky enough to be on foot, the passing cars would be few and far between. The sparsely populated village of Whitehall is one of the few inhabited towns in the wilderness of upstate. The Bigfoot field expedition arrived in town in September of 2005. The researchers of the BFRO interviewed an eyewitness whose name was Henry. Since childhood, Henry had worked on the family farm, a Christmas tree farm. Throughout his 30 years, he had occasionally seen footprints in the oldest section of the farm, the farthest part of the family's property, that area nearest the wood's edge. There stood the taller, older pine trees used for grafting. The footprints occurred only rarely, but they were always large. 20 inches, the one time that Henry measured. The footprints were always accompanied by broken branches, as if disturbed by something passing. The partly severed branches would swing in the wind, as high overhead as 10 feet, marking a trail leading into the forest. But that way lay only the mountains, uninhabited by men. A young couple in the year 2000 were hiking on the trail to Buck Mountain, the peak of which can be seen from Whitehall. The young woman was a model, and she wanted some nature shots for her portfolio. John and his girlfriend headed off trail, and they came to running water. Before the young man could remove the lens cap from his camera, they heard a deep, roaring sound like that of a large mammal. John was a backpacker, familiar with all manner of animal noises. This particular cry he had never before heard, sounding like a combination of a growl and a scream. He was scared. He guided his girlfriend back toward the trail. The blood-curdling scream was repeated and getting closer. Then they heard rapid footfalls nearby, crunching through the dry, dead leaves covering the ground. Suddenly, John realized it was trying to circle them. The trail was upon them, and they broke into a run in the direction of the trailhead. This was the longest 15 minutes of their lives, because although the creature no longer cried out, they could hear it pacing them, just out of sight, in the woods on their left side, until they reached their automobile, locking themselves in. Human encounters with a colony of Sasquatch in Whitehall began as early as 1759. In the same area, English colonies were at war with French colonies, the British military detachment of Rogers Rangers, and their American Indian allies both reported Sasquatch. On one march in the wilderness, the Rangers were pelted with rocks and stones by what they described as large, hairy primates, to which they gave a name: mountain apes. The mountain apes were driven away by the soldiers with a single volley of musket fire. Iroquois Indians loyal to the English related tribal accounts, perhaps old as millennia. They describe a creature which guards its own land, a creature which tosses large pine cones at trespassers. Its Iroquois name is the Slippery One, because it is smart enough to avoid the traps of men. A local researcher, Paul Bartholomew, has proposed to the town board of Whitehall a resolution making it illegal to hunt or shoot Sasquatch. Paul hopes to build a museum in the village and looks forward to establishing the first annual Bigfoot Festival in the rural New York region of upstate.